Dear Franklin Graham, dear John Piper, dear Paul Washer, dear Tim Conway, I'm asking all you ministers of the gospel who are the greatest things since sliced bread when it comes to Jesus Christ being saved, whoever you are, let me ask you a question. Do you really believe this stuff you're preaching? That if you don't get saved, you're going to burn forever in the lake of fire. Do you really believe this? Why the hell don't you live like it? Let me ask you a hypothetical question. Paul Washer, you love your wife, right? Yes, love her more than any other person in the world, except Jesus Christ. Would you be willing for your wife, let's say this man who's not saved, or woman, and they're going to burn in the lake of fire forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, if they don't get saved? And let's just say the only way they're going to get saved is if you lose your wife to death and she dies. Of course, you get to see her again in heaven. But would you be willing to lose your wife, have your wife die, so that this man would be saved? And keep in mind, hypothetically speaking, this is a hypothetical situation. Would you be willing for your wife to die, for this man to hear the gospel in such a way that he gets saved? Your wife does not die, this man goes to the lake of fire and burns forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Your wife dies, this man gets saved. Would you be willing to do this? Of course you wouldn't. Do you believe this stuff you preach? Or do you so couldn't give a shit less about this man burning in the lake of fire because he's not a family member of yours? He's nobody who means anything to you. He's just another statistic, some nameless face, some nobody. He'll live, he'll die, he'll go to hell. You won't even bat an eye. Okay, let's say you had your son. Let's say you got a son. You love your son so much, but he's never gonna get saved. But if God gave you the option, you could lose your wife, she dies, and your son gets saved. Would you do that then? Would you? Or you love your wife so much, and your faith in what you preach is not as strong as you think it is? Come on, you Christians are detestable. I was told that love amongst Christians, believers, is stronger than even the strongest family tie, because love between Christians is spiritual. It's a love. It's a tie of love that comes directly from God through the new birth, and that it's the tie of love that's between the individual and God, and all the other people that have the same tie of love. But from what I'm seeing, y'all disgust me, you hypocrites. Do you believe the gospel is not shit? But I gotta ask this in such a way because to convey the contempt I feel. Do you really believe this shit you're preaching and teaching? You've dedicated your lives to preach. Do you really believe this shit? Then why the hell don't you act differently? Why in the hell are you a millionaire, Paul Washer? Dr. John MacArthur, why the hell are you millionaires? That's not fair. You get the best of both worlds. You get to be a fucking millionaire, and you're gonna get riches in heaven. When you go to heaven, you get the best of both worlds. When there are people who are poor as shit, they don't got shit to in this world, and they're not saved, so they're not gonna get shit to in the next life. They're gonna burn the lake of fire. It's not fair. They should at least They should at least have $1 million and get a nice life down here, so they're gonna get a shitty life over there. How dare you hog a good life for somebody else when you got your good life in the sweet by and by? Unless, of course, you really don't believe the shit you teach. Or unless you really don't love lost sinners. Unless you really don't love mankind. You only love your families and the Christians who are closest to you. Someone, Day of Discovery wrote, only a true born-again believer can love a complete stranger who is another born-again believer. Most love between Christians and churches today is not because it comes from the spiritual tie of that every person who gets born again from God, that every person who's born again gets a tie of love from God to God. And therefore, if you love God because you got this tie of love for God, you're going to love everybody else who's been born of the same God. I lost my train of thought. Only a true born-again believer. Most Christians who love other Christians do not love other Christians, not really because they that tie to God they have, but because they love to walk in the park together. They both got children, and that ties them together. So make sure when you love other fellow Christians, make sure it's because the one thing that ties you to them is you're tied to God. If it's not your tie to God that ties you to these believers, you're loving these Christians in the same way that sinners love other sinners. And you ain't better, and you ain't God shit better than sinners. You faithless hypocrites. Besides, love is just an illusion anyways. You love other people so long as they make you feel positive. You love the person because you don't love the person. You love your idea of what you love the mental construct of the person you make in your mind. You love another human being. Let's say somebody comes along and tells you that this person you love is a child molester, and even if this person you love is not a child molester, but the person telling you this person is a child molester is such a smart person, he makes up false facts so that you all of a sudden believe this person is a child molester, and he's not a child molester. You're not going to love this person anymore. In fact, you're going to want to kill him. You never really loved the person in the first place. You just love the mental construct of the person in your mind. You fucking hypocrite. And if you really loved the person and you really believed that he was a child molester, you'd be begging God to take away his sinful desires and to save this person. Because then you would love the person and not your mental construct of the person. Love is just an illusion. But I want to be loved and to love, but I realize your love for me is not eternal, it's not infinite, it's not unconditional. There is this person, two people standing before a crowd, they were being cheered. And the people said to the student, shit! The people said to the teacher, man, they love us. The student said to the pupil, don't let it carry you away. These same people who are adoring us and loving us will be the same people screaming in happiness and same people jeering and booing us if we were being led off to the guillotine. It's crowd psychology. You love what makes you feel good, not necessarily who another person is. You love who makes you feel good, not who they really are. Is God that list? Because God sends sinners to hell. According to Calvinist theology, God hates sinners, but God loves the Christians. But is God does God love who I am or what I am? Let me tell you something. Just let me be a good-looking guy. Let me be a rock star. Let me get some of that superficial love. I want to be loved for being a good-looking guy, for being somebody. But no, who really loves me for who I am? It's all a fucking illusion. It's all a crock of shit. Just let me be. Oh, I love to be loved. I love to love. But most people don't love other people like I do. And it's a tragedy. I want to love people for who they are. And I don't, and I do not love like I ought to love. Hell no, I don't. But do I love people for who they are better than God, the way God loves us for who we are? Because if God truly loved us for who we were, He would make it so that everybody would eventually be saved. But He doesn't. So the middle finger to you, bitch. Now I take that back because I don't want to make God angry and He not give me the good looks. God, if you will not give me the good looks, the middle finger to you, fucking bitch. But if you will, please, God, give me the good looks. Please, I beg you. I worship you. I want to be loved but I want the girls to love me first because I'm good looking. And then I also want this next thing. I want them, once they know my personality, to love me for my personality. I don't want to be loved just for my personality, but for my looks and my personality. And I don't give a good goddamn if I'm going to be ugly one day, just as long as I'm... You see, there's a timeline of eternity. There's a line that starts right here and goes on that way forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. It's called the timeline of eternity. My timeline of eternity, when I was conceived, begins right here. It goes on this way forever and ever and ever. I just want more than anything for that one small dot on that timeline of eternity. I had a face to die for and looks to kill. And I don't give a shit if eternity goes on forever and ever so long that one day I'll no longer see this dot. I want that dot. I want it to be true that dot's there. And Chris, why do you want to be the master of just one dot on the timeline of eternity? Well, my dear friend, because I cannot be master of two dots on the timeline of eternity. Carl Sagan said, "Imagine all the bloodshed spilt by dictators and tyrants all over the world over, just so that they could be the master of a dot." Yeah, you know why? Because that's all they can get. They can't be master of two dots or three dots. I have faith in the human race to deceive and lie and screw me and do me wrong. I know they're gonna do that. There's gonna be a few human beings who will do right by me, but I can't. Can I depend on them to do that? No. But I know beyond a shadow of a doubt there are gonna be people out there who are gonna screw me over and hate me and not love me. And keep in mind, if you're not for me, I'm against you. If I'm a person and you see me as a person and for some reason you just don't like me, you better be glad I'm not God, because I'd plunge your ass into the lake of fire. And you would stay there as long as it took to get you to stop not loving me. Because I don't want anybody to burn forever and ever and ever. I don't. But if you're not going to love me, why in the hell do I want you in my house? In my heaven? No. And you say, why did you give me a world where I can live in my own little world and not have to love and hate you all I want, but I get my little world? No. If you don't love me, I hate you. I don't want you to be happy. I want you to burn. And I want you to burn as long as you have to burn until you start loving me. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Deal with it. Goddamn fuck, god, dick, shit, mother, dick on the goddamn rag, bitch.